25th, the Narrative Power Summit is landing in the 6. This is about ownership.
This is about controlling our story. If you're serious about narrative power, strategy, and ownership, this is the room you need to be in. To get your tickets, go to africandiasporanews.org/Canada. I'll see you in Toronto.
Hello, everyone. I hope all is well. Ansah coming to you live. And as LaSherika said, we will see you in Toronto. If you haven't already got your tickets for the African Diaspora News Channel Narrative Power Summit, then I expect you to. The description field below has all the information to grab your tickets. Come meet Demetra, come meet Theo, come meet me, come meet Rosemary, and maybe some more surprise people from the team will be showing up. So to those who have already bought tickets, thank you very much. Appreciate you very, very much. You are early birds, and we greatly appreciate it. That tells us that the interest is there. That tells us that you want to come and meet us. So we appreciate you. And to those who haven't yet, we appreciate you just the same. We expect to see you there. So today's topic, we're going to be talking about one of the folks. She's a far-right scholar who fled the United States, if you will, and came to Canada on a visitor's visa, otherwise known as a temporary resident visa. And so I guess she's here and she's realizing that, all that glitters isn't gold, and she's going through some times. And so she's now asking the internet for help. So we'll hear from her, and then we'll talk about, what exactly is involved with the visitor's visa, what that entails and all that stuff. And then we'll also talk about what's been going on with the folks when they're trying to cross the border. A lot of stuff is going on with them. They're experiencing things that I have not seen happen. So we'll look at that as well. And we'll just talk some more. Before I get started, hey, Buckhorse, how you doing? Hey, Kaiser Ray, you're saying far right and moving to Canada doesn't really make too much sense. Yeah, I mean, I will say this before we get started. When it comes to Canada, I always say the perception is Canada's nice and kind and accepting and all that. So I feel like even people that are far right would feel like Canada is calmer and safer as opposed to what's going on in the United States. And this woman, is not a fan of Donald Trump and all of the policies and all of that good stuff. So she felt like Canada is, the place to go. And not too long ago, I had covered where we had some of the folks that were asking, how can we get to Canada? How can we get to Canada? Because everybody thinks Canada is the place to be. So let us hear from her, and then we'll talk further.
Right, who has fled the United States to Canada and...
Sorry, family. Let me
I've
start
been
again.
Extremely cautious about what I share on here. For scholars of the far right, there's just an understanding that at some point you will receive threats or be doxxed or otherwise have your family threatened. Like, it was just sort of like explained to me when I started by senior scholars that was an expected part of the job. So after my first viral video where I wasn't even talking about my research, but I was experiencing people coming in the comments section giving me those, I've been very cautious. I don't film outside. You don't know my name. You don't know my university. I don't film with my friends. But the situation in Canada is absolutely dire. For Americans who don't know, the housing crisis here is worse than in the United States. I lived in LA for 6 years, and I have not faced rent as bad as here. When my partner, our cat, and our dog fled the United States, we headed north with the goal of being close to where our families are located, which is on the West Coast. So we are now in British Columbia. My partner and I are here on a visitor visa, which is a 6 months possible stay for Americans. But while you're here on a visitor visa, you can't work. So we are currently surviving off of what savings we could get together before we fled the United States. And in Canada, I think it's actually the cost of living crisis is worse here, especially when you are shut out of the healthcare system, when you can't access any of the resources that Canadians have access to. And that's understandable. You know, I'm not a citizen of the country, but it is making the financial situation dire because we can't work.
So the video is longer than that, but I'll just start by saying she said she's in British Columbia. British Columbia is the top province in Canada with the cost of living is insane. But apparently she has family there. So that's where she chose to go to when she came. And also the rent, like just getting a 1 bedroom there is like $2,300 a month. And you're lucky if you even get a 600 square foot space for that amount of money. And she's also in Vancouver, which is like really expensive. Okay. She also mentioned that she was with her partner. So I have a feeling she might be sassy. She might be, one from that community as well. And I think that might be one of the reasons why she fled. So to answer your question, Brian, you're saying we should be saying emigrated. I didn't say fled. Those were her words. She fled because clearly, I mean, she's probably living a certain type of life that we know that Donald Trump is dead set against. So, she chose to come to Canada. Now let's talk about the temporary resident visa or the visitor's visa. The visitor's visa is exactly that, a visitor's visa. So it's one of those things where it's like a permission slip to come to Canada, but you're here if you're a tourist, you're here if you're here for like a short-term meeting, course, event, you're here to travel, just, visit the place. And you can be here for up to 6 months, like she said, but that's really up to the border officer that you get in front of. That's their discretion. She said she's a far right scholar, so maybe because of that, she was able to get 6 months. You can, if you want to, file for an extension to your visitor's visa, but then again, that's up to the discretion of the officer whether or not you can stay longer. So at the end of the day, you can't do anything. Like she said, you can't work. You can't get medical benefits, medical care. You don't get any of the benefits that a Canadian citizen will get because you're here to visit. So now here's my thing with her. She says she's here to visit, yet she said she fled the United States. She's here on a visitor's visa. She knows she can only be here for max 6 months. And as I said, you can potentially extend it. Why would you go on camera and say all of that and then be asking for financial assistance? She did ask. I just didn't play the entire clip, but she's asking for financial help. So you are here on a visitor's visa under this country and you have like zero status essentially. And you go online to ask for money so that what you can stay because your funds are being depleted. Why would you even leave without, getting yourself all set up? So anyway, that's my rant about her and what she said. Let us see what you guys are saying. You're saying she's a liberal? Well, listen, she's referring to herself as a far right. And, we know that there are far right people here big time in Canada. Definitely are far right, right winged. There are a lot of right wing people that are very interested in Canada, like Tucker Carlson. So, I think she felt fairly confident that she would be accepted. So she made her way over here, So you said, wow, but people can come to the United States and have access to our programs before actual Americans. You're not getting that here on a visitor's visa. You're definitely not. You're not. You're visiting. That's it. So, so she said, you're saying she can't work, but she can be more specific. can't earn income or can't become an employee. Yeah, no, she can't, but she can't do any of that either. She can't really, she can't. Unless she's doing it under the table, but she really can't, which is why her funds are depleting, which is why she's looking for help. I'm just wondering, is her family not there for her? Where's her family at? But anyhow, let us just continue on. I also wanted to also talk about what's been going on with a lot of the folks when they're trying to like do things like renew their visas and things like that. And they're Canadian and they're ending up in the hands of ICE and things like that. So things are really shifting. And then we'll talk about who are the chosen when it comes to coming to Canada, immigrating to Canada these days. Hello, McQueen. I hope all is well with you. Thanks so much for joining. So I'm going to just play two of the folks that have gone through some situations as Canadians, doing the legal route of things in the legal process, but still ended up in horrible situations.
Reapplying for my work visa in the immigration office. I was doing everything completely legally. They said, you need to reapply through the consulate and we need to send you back to Canada. And in my head, I thought that meant, okay, I'm just getting on a plane and going home. And I was taken. No explanation. It felt like I had been kidnapped. 30 of us in one cell, just like a line of bunks and then open showers and toilets. And every single time I asked a question, it was, I'm not your case officer. I don't know. I'm just doing my job. We nicknamed them the ice boxes. We're huddled, trying to stay warm, wrapped in these aluminum foils, looking like dead bodies. Fluorescent lights are shining 24/7. One of the girls had her period and there was blood everywhere. This nurse comes in and she's like, pregnancy test. She made us pee in front of each other into these Dixie cups. We're all just standing there in a circle, holding our open urine, and she's plopping these pregnancy tests in and then being like, okay, you guys are gonna chuck it back in the toilet. I got woken up in the middle of the night and they're like, Jasmine, you're leaving. I jumped up, I'm like, I'm going home. And they're like, we're being transferred. Why am I going to Arizona? I begged every single guard for help. Can you please tell anyone, your supervisor, that I would love to pay for my flight home? Just get me out of here.
This Canadian man has been in ICE custody for nearly 4 months, allegedly because of a misdemeanor from when he was 17 years old, according to his family. The now 39-year-old Curtis Wright was born in Edmonton, but is a permanent resident of the U.S. He was detained in Texas back in November while returning home from a work trip to Mexico. According to his parents, he was flagged at the airport by officials who found a minor drug possession conviction going back 22 years when he was still in high school. His father says it involved a Xanax tablet found in the backseat of his son's truck, and that his son's criminal history also includes a misdemeanor charge that stemmed from police finding a handgun in the glove compartment of the car Curtis was driving, which was only registered to his wife, and an impaired driving arrest 8 years ago. Curtis alleges conditions inside the ICE detention facility are terrible, saying that there is mold, dirt, and grime everywhere, and that the food is horrendous, and that he won't drink water without boiling it first to avoid getting sick.
None of it's been enjoyable. The separation from my family has been miserable.
The family believes the state of the facilities are designed to wear detainees down into leaving the United States voluntarily. Before getting to the facility, Curtis says he only thought ICE was detaining the, quote, worst of the worst, but since being there, he has found that most of the detainees are, quote, just like him.
Did you hear that last part? He said most of the detainees are just like him. So these are two people that law-abiding citizens. Okay, so the man's was like 17. At age 17, he had something. But I mean, at the end of the day, welcome to our world. Okay, welcome to our world. And now we're going to talk about who are the chosen these days when it comes to Canada. Like, who are they letting in more than anybody else? I covered a bit of this yesterday. I'll just remind those who did not watch yesterday's live stream where I kind of went into what's going on with Canada and the immigration situation and potentially why there's such a mass immigration with one specific, group of people. But I will say this, here is the chosen that come to Canada, and it is from India. This is our Prime Minister, Mark Carney, with India's Prime Minister, and his name is Narendra Modi. And they have signed a whole big $5.5 billion trade deal. Mark Carney has announced that he's investing $100 billion in this new program for students. And it's going to be linked to 13 colleges in Canada. So at the end of the day, I said it yesterday and I'll say it again. We're going to be the minority. We are. And so what I would suggest, and that's to everybody, the folks, my Black people coming from the continent or the Caribbean, you make sure you go through the right channels. Do not flee. Do not try to come illegally. Do not try to come on a visitor's visa. Do not try to do, a fraudulent, situation where you're coming as an international student, but then when you get here, you're not doing that. Don't do any of that. Do not do any of that. It will not bode well for you. What this woman, the one thing I agree with her, 100%, the cost of living is crazy here. Crazy. Okay. Absolutely nuts. She is absolutely right. And it is worse than the United States. And I know it's bad there. I do. But it is worse here. And she, being an American citizen, was able to draw a direct comparison with being in Canada versus the United States. It is not easy. It's not. So I am 100% on side with her where that's concerned. All right. Do not flee. Exactly, Buckhorse. Do not flee the United States and come to Canada. Just if you want to do it the right way. Again, I believe that because she is a far right scholar, I think she felt like, there are, people in Canada that have their conservative politics and stuff like that. And as I said, Canada, they feel is much more calmer and safer and accepting and all of those things. And, the Liberal Party is very accepting for sure. I mean, they're trying to strip away a lot of rights that people in religious bodies have and all of those kinds of things. So yeah. And they're very accepting of, the alphabet soup community and all that stuff. So yeah, I can see why they would maybe feel like Canada's safer, but at the end of the day, it's not. Now let's hear what our Prime Minister has to say. Just to remind you all again, I said a little bit at the top, but to remind you again of what he is promising for India. I mean, right now, India is, as I said, the chosen.
We are one family. The greatest, most enduring strengths between Canada and India are the families who call our nations home. Nearly 2 million Canadians trace their roots to India, including leaders in business, science, culture, and government. Tens of thousands of people travel between our countries every year to visit friends and family. 400,000 talented Indians study in Canada. That is twice the number in the United States. It is 4 times the number in the United Kingdom. These students, these connections, deepen our ties. And so we're collaborating to build on those strengths. We've launched the new Canada-India Talent and Innovation Strategy with 13 new partnerships to deepen our ties in education. And this includes collaborations involving McGill, the University of Toronto, University of British Columbia, to work across artificial intelligence, health sciences, and digital architecture.
That's the chosen. It's the Indian community. It's the Indian community. There's, like I said, big deals have been signed. So there's also talk about at least 60 million more Indians coming to Canada from India. So, yeah. I'm reporting on this to just say, first of all, do your homework before you make the decision to flee the United States thinking that the grass is greener here. Do your homework. Make sure you educate yourself on the lay of the land. This woman has family that lives in Canada. They could have told her, hey, it's not what you think, but she still chose to come. Her partner, her dogs and her cats and what have you. And now they're struggling. It is not wise to go on camera and ask for money. However, I wouldn't be surprised if she did get help. Like if she had some sort of GoFundMe and she did get help, right? It wouldn't surprise me in the least. However, I do think it's a very, very bad decision, but that's just my humble opinion. Anyhow, back to immigration. So here's what we're facing right now as it relates to asylum claims, for example. There's over 300,000 in backlog of asylum claims. So even trying to seek asylum, it starts with you getting arrested. And then after that, you've got to go through the process. And that could delay you being deported depending on what your situation is. I will be talking about that more because I'm going to update everybody on what's going on here with immigration and asylum seeking and what the Liberal Party is trying to do to clean this up. So we'll be talking about that. But just high level, we've got backlog in asylum. We got backlog in refugee status claims. We got backlog in healthcare system. We have backlog in housing. Housing is just ridiculous, like this woman said. We have a lot of things going on. Although they're deporting 400 people a week, they're still letting in a bunch of people. And I just got finished saying that this whole deal with India, trust me, and that's to my Canadian people that are here, in Ontario and other parts of Canada, this. What you're seeing now, we can just multiply to the nth degree, because it's we, Black people, and the folks are going to end up being the minority in this country. Mark my words. So I say all that to say is that, if you want to come to Canada, you got to do it the right way. And the right way involves going through the process. And I know some people they want to get here. They want to get here. They think it's wonderful and nice and kind and safe and all that stuff. So they're trying to find, the path of least resistance. But it just doesn't end well for you, And so that's why I say, go through the right channels. But at the end of the day, we're going to be the minority. I'm saying it again. I am. Bri 4, you're saying it's a good idea to sacrifice your entertainment and discretionary spending for a few months to a year to start had a diversified investment or two under drip terms. I agree. I'm always saying, if you're going, like they said they're depleted, their savings are almost depleted. So you want to make sure you plan that out as well, right? Because now you've left your country where you don't have to, she could have stayed there, lived there, worked there, kept their money and, purchased their home and did all the investments without having to worry about coming to another country and struggling. So, you want to make sure you're smart about how you do it. So I agree with you there. You said extracting from the national economy to pour into group economics will help better our collective position. Yeah. Hey, Teresa, how you doing? Investment income is not working. So if you're ever in her situation, you're still earning income without working as defined by Canadian law. Yeah, but she says that she is a far right scholar, but she's not able to work here. So even though, and maybe she might be working under a table. Who knows? I mean, the fact that she's gone on camera and is begging for money, I highly doubt that that's the case. But what it sounds to me is she wants to stay here. She doesn't want to go back. But if she runs out of money, she's probably not going to have a choice. So she's trying to do the most to stay here. I'm just saying that wasn't very smart because you never know who's watching on the FBI's internet. She may find herself being asked to pack up and hit the road, Jack. But of course, you say we always win. Yeah. Listen, I'm just saying this to say, at the end of the day, we are in an immigration crisis in this country. Okay. And I know that it's bad in the United States as well. So people like her that are choosing to leave because they don't agree with the Trump administration's policies and ideologies and all of those things, and thinking that by coming here it's going to be better, and then coming on a visitor's visa, which you can get if you are here, to attend schooling, like I said, anything short term, you can do it, but you can't do it for long. And you definitely will not be able to sustain an outgoing and not incoming income in British Columbia. It's just not even going to last for you. I mean, like I said, BC is at the top. Ontario is second. So no, like just no. You just have to get ready to pack up and go back to the United States, unless your people here in Canada want to help you out. But even still, you're still going to end up having to go back. Even if she applies for extended stay, like I said, you could do that. It may not work out for her. Like she may still not be able to get an extension, especially if you're on here talking. Like, be smart, okay? Be smart. And that's what not to do to my people. What you just saw with this woman, don't do that either, okay? Do not do that. If you're coming on a visitor's visa, come, the right way. You're really coming on a visitor's visa, okay? But do not do what she's doing, okay? This is a what not to do as well, all right? Okay. Yes, Buckhorse, I agree with you. So you say it sounds like she's reaping. Very, very possible. But it also sounds to me like she really, truly does not want to go back to the United States. And so the question begs, maybe there's more going on than you don't agree with Trump and you're just running away from Trump. I will say this, though. Vancouver, I mean, she picked a really beautiful city and a really beautiful province. I was saying this yesterday. To me, Vancouver, or Vancouver for sure, but the province of BC in the whole is, I think, the most beautiful. And then Alberta comes second, the most beautiful. So she definitely picked a beautiful place to be, for sure. But you're going to pay for that. You're going to pay for that beauty. You're going to pay for it. Everything that province has to offer, for sure. And the other thing, things would have been better for her. And she would have been afforded a more privilege and more luxuries and all of that stuff. But clearly that's not working out for you either. Otherwise, you wouldn't be on social media asking for money, would you now? Because like I said, the chosen, the favored right now is not the folks. And it is not Black people, although Nigeria is second as it relates to countries, of Black people that are immigrating to Canada. Nigeria is second in line. But I'll say this again. It's India. India is it. It is India. I cannot say it moreover. You see that handshake? It's India. Very, very happy. They're very happy with India right now. Okay. So welcome to our world. I say again, welcome to our world. You're getting a fraction of what Black people go through on a regular basis, and not just at the border. Everywhere we go, you are experiencing a small fraction. And you're about to be a minority in this country as well. And I think your reality is going to be different. Your reality is going to be closer to our reality. Yeah. Sorry, not sorry. Welcome. And that's my rant for today. That's what I wanted to share with you all. And as I said, I'm going to talk more about what's going on with immigration, asylum seeking, deportation, and all that stuff. There are currently there are many debates that are going on between conservative and liberal, and many heated debates going on about the colossal immigration mess, I should clarify, that's going on right now in this country. The cost of living, grocery, gas, etc., food banks. There's so much that I'm going to be updating you all on. But I thank you for joining me on this one. And again, I will say, if you want to come to Canada, do it the right way. And again, what not to do, what she did, don't do that. And I'll see you tomorrow. But before I really love you and leave you, I just want to remind you to download the African Diaspora News Channel app if you have not done so already. To those who have, thank you very much. To those who have not, please do so. Head over to your Google or Apple store. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. You won't. And again, if you have not purchased your tickets for the ADNC Narrative Power Summit happening in July 25th in Toronto, make sure that you do. I am going to remind all of my American brothers and sisters again that I see you all. I see y'all here in Toronto in the 6 for Caravana. So there's no reason why you can't just extend it, because Caravana is the following weekend. So why not come a few days early so you're getting the best of both worlds? You're getting a chance to come hang out with us, talk the talks, get some good music, good food, networking, get to wave and shake hands and take photos with Phil and Demetra and Theo and myself and Rosemary. I mean, it's the best. And then you continue on with your trip, and then you get to go jump up and wave something and, enjoy the Caribbean festival and culture and food again and music. So, I mean, it's the best of both worlds. So what are you waiting for? Head over to africandiasporanews.org/Canada and get your ticket. I shall see you tomorrow. Later, McQueen. Later, Buckhorse. Take care, everyone. Be safe.